What happens when the kid everyone ignores wishes for the world to end? And it actually does? Welcome back, everyone. Today we're diving into the first two chapters of The End Has Come, a survival manhwa that doesn't pull any punches when it comes to showing us the absolute worst of humanity colliding with the literal apocalypse. Here's the setup. Minjun is your typical bullied teenager. Isolated, beaten down, completely invisible to everyone around him, except when they need a punching bag. He's reached that breaking point we've all seen in these stories, where you're so exhausted by everyday cruelty that you start thinking, you know what? Maybe the world ending wouldn't be so bad. But here's where The End Has Come flips the script on us. Because when Minjun makes that wish, when he genuinely wants everything to just stop, the universe apparently decides to take him seriously. What follows is not your typical zombie survival story where the plucky protagonist miraculously discovers they're secretly amazing at everything. No, this is raw, uncomfortable, and brutally honest about what happens when someone with zero survival skills, zero confidence, and zero allies suddenly has to navigate a city being consumed by the undead. The Manhua throws Minjun and us into the deep end immediately, exploring not just the external threat of zombies, but something far more terrifying. What happens to human nature when society's rules disappear overnight? The early chapters establish this suffocating atmosphere of despair and distrust. Survival isn't just about avoiding the zombies, it's about figuring out who you can rely on when everyone's terrified and desperate. And that's where Yena Han enters the picture, a popular student with survival instincts sharp enough to cut glass and a tongue to match. Their alliance is messy, uncomfortable, and absolutely necessary, which makes it one of the most compelling dynamics in recent survival manhwa. These opening chapters are essentially asking, can you trust anyone when staying alive is the only thing that matters? Let's break down exactly how this nightmare begins. Chapter 1 wastes absolutely no time showing us Minjun's reality, and honestly, it's hard to watch. We see him navigating school hallways like a ghost, taking hits, both verbal and physical, from bullies who don't even see him as human anymore. He's just a target, a stress ball for people to take their frustrations out on. The manhwa doesn't romanticize this or set it up for some satisfying revenge fantasy. Instead, it shows us someone who's genuinely broken, sitting alone, probably wondering why he even bothers showing up anymore. That's when Minjun makes the wish. He's sitting there completely alone and he just wishes for it all to end, for the world to stop, for everything to just be over. And here's what makes this moment so unsettling. We get it. We understand exactly why someone pushed this far would think that way. The manhwa doesn't judge him for it. It just presents this moment of absolute despair. But then, in the most horrifically ironic twist possible, reality decides to grant his wish. The zombie outbreak hits like a freight train. No slow buildup, no news reports ramping up tension, just immediate violent chaos erupting across the city. Buildings are burning, people are screaming, and suddenly those hallways where Minjun was invisible are filled with the undead hunting for prey. The artwork here apparently goes hard on showing the destruction, really emphasizing how quickly civilization just crumbles. One moment you're worried about homework and social status, the next you're running for your life from former classmates who want to eat you. Minjun's escape is pure panic and survival instinct. There's no heroic moment where he suddenly knows what to do. He's stumbling, terrified, probably in complete shock that his darkest thoughts somehow manifested into reality. And that's when he encounters Yena Han. Now, in any other story, this might be where the popular girl needs rescuing and suddenly sees the real protagonist. But Yena, she's already covered in blood, already moving with purpose, already several steps ahead of everyone else in terms of accepting the new reality. She doesn't need Minjun, at least not in any traditional sense. Their first interaction is probably tense as hell. Yena's got that sharp tongue and those survival instincts that tell her trusting anyone is a risk. Minjun's still processing that the world actually ended like he wished. The chapter closes on this harsh realization for both of them. The rules have changed completely, and if they want to see tomorrow, they need to adapt right now. Survival isn't optional, and neither are the hard choices coming their way. Chapter 2 dives deeper into this forced alliance, and what's fascinating is how the Manhua handles their dynamic. This isn't a romance blooming in the apocalypse. This is two people who probably wouldn't give each other the time of day in normal circumstances, now stuck together because the alternative is dying alone. Yena clearly has reservations about Minjun. Why wouldn't she? He was the invisible kid, the victim, someone who couldn't even stand up to high school bullies. What use is he against zombies? But they end up taking shelter in a semi-basement location, which immediately raises red flags for anyone who knows survival horror. Semi-basements are death traps, limited exits, easy to get cornered, and apparently this one comes with its own set of dangers that have nothing to do with zombies. The exploration of this shelter reveals just how paranoid everyone needs to be now. Every shadow could hide a threat. Every sound could mean death is coming. The tension is suffocating. What really hits home in Chapter 2 are these emotional moments where we see Minjun's vulnerability laid bare. He's not hiding his fear or pretending to be tough. He's genuinely terrified and completely out of his depth. There's probably a scene where his hands are shaking, where he's on the verge of breaking down, and it's raw. This is what sets The End Has Come apart from other survival stories. The protagonist isn't power fantasizing his way through the apocalypse. He's surviving despite being scared out of his mind. Yena's reaction to Minjun's vulnerability is crucial here. Does she show contempt? Pity? Understanding? Whatever her response, it shapes their dynamic going forward and tells us everything about who she really is beneath that sharp exterior. And here's where the Manhua introduces something genuinely chilling. The threats beyond zombies. Other survivors. People who've decided that morality is a luxury they can't afford anymore. People who might be more dangerous than the undead because they can think, plan, and betray. The chapter builds this atmosphere where you realize the zombies are almost the simple problem. You know what they want. Flesh, blood, the basic zombie package. But humans, desperate humans in an apocalypse, they're unpredictable. They'll smile at you while planning to take everything you have, and Minjun and Yena are forced to navigate this nightmare together, whether they trust each other or not. So why do these opening chapters hit so differently from other zombie survival stories? It's all about that psychological foundation. The End Has Come isn't interested in giving us a power fantasy or a hero's journey where the protagonist discovers hidden badass potential. Instead, it's asking genuinely uncomfortable questions. What responsibility do we have for our darkest thoughts? Can someone who couldn't survive normal teenage life actually make it in the apocalypse? And most importantly, who can you trust when trust might literally get you killed? The Minjun-Yena dynamic is absolute gold for character development. We've got the victim and the popular kid stripped of their social context and forced to see each other as actual human beings. Yena's survival skills versus Minjun's, well, whatever Minjun brings to the table, because right now it's not obvious what that is. Watching this alliance form and evolve is going to be the heart of this series. Now, let's talk about what fans are already speculating about, because the theories are wild. First up, that zombie outbreak origin. The timing is way too convenient, right? Minjun wishes for the end, and boom, zombies. Some fans are theorizing that Minjun might actually have some kind of reality warping ability he doesn't understand yet. Maybe his despair was so intense it literally manifested the apocalypse. Others think there's a more scientific explanation coming, but that the Manhua is deliberately playing with our expectations by linking Minjun's wish to the outbreak's timing. Then there's the big question about Yena's background. Why is she so prepared? Why does she have these survival instincts that seem beyond what a normal student should have? Fan communities are debating whether she knew something was coming, whether she's been trained for this somehow, or if she's just naturally that adaptable. Some are even wondering if she has her own secrets about the outbreak's origin. And here's the theory that's got everyone talking. What if Minjun's role in this story is bigger than we think? What if he's not just surviving the apocalypse? What if he's somehow key to it? The foreshadowing about his wish keeps coming back, and you have to wonder if the Manhua is setting up some massive revelation about fate, consequence, and the price of getting exactly what you asked for. The upcoming chapters are probably going to test this fragile alliance to its breaking point. We've got hints about betrayals coming, about other survivors who might force impossible choices, and about the true nature of this outbreak revealing itself. Every survival story needs that moment where the protagonist stops running and starts fighting back, but will Minjun get there? Or will the end has come subvert that expectation entirely? What's clear is that these opening chapters have established a manhwa that's more interested in psychological survival horror than action spectacle. It's uncomfortable, it's tense, and it's asking questions about human nature that don't have easy answers. If you're tired of overpowered protagonists steamrolling through the apocalypse, this is the series that's going to scratch that itch for something more grounded and genuinely terrifying. So that's where we stand after chapters 1 and 2, trapped in a semi-basement with two teenagers who don't trust each other, zombies outside, dangerous humans probably plotting nearby, and the haunting question of whether Minjun's wish actually caused all of this. The end really has come, and survival is just the beginning of the nightmare. Make sure to like and subscribe if you want more coverage of this series, because trust me, if these first 2 chapters are any indication, things are about to get so much.